welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany Parker and this is Vend Like a Boss. Today we are going over 5 things that you really need to consider before you go to market. So let's get started. The first thing that you need to consider, and this is very important for my crafters or my artisan vendors. If your hobby, what you're doing as a hobby, which is something that you do for fun, for fulfillment, you might make a few things for yourself and some friends and family, a hobby. Make sure your hobby that you want to take to market makes sense. You want to make sure that that hobby can be turned into a business. Not every hobby or great idea is business potential. So you really need to make sure that this is something that you're willing to commit to on a business level. Another thing you need to consider is production. Are you able to produce enough materials or enough product to accompany vendor markets? Meaning, are you able to have a full tent? Are you able to keep up with the demand of the vendors when you're in the vendor market? So some of these vendor markets out here can get up to thousands of people at one time. So to start off your first event, are you able to produce at least 100 of what it is that you make as a hobby? So most crafters or most artisans that are just doing things for hobby purposes, they don't have a lot of stock or a lot of stuff lying around. They make according to how they feel, or they make according to friends and family's needs. But can you take that and make it for people that you don't know, for their needs, for the amount of traffic that comes with these vendors? So you really need to understand or really take into consider turning your hobby into a business. Is it business material? Because you have to understand, it's not just the materials that you're going to have to pay for. It's your vendor space, which can go anywhere from $20 to $2,000 and all in between. I'm just telling you, it can get really expensive. Time, travel, all of that needs to be taken into consideration before you become a vendor and you're taking something that you do as a hobby to market. Second thing you need to make sure you have in order is your permits and your licensing. You need to make sure you have all that. All you have to do is talk to the state locals, or you need to talk to your you need to go to your city, talk to the city, talk to the county, look at your state laws and rules and regulations, and see what you need to have on hand when you're going to market. For basics, everybody should have a sales permit. Everybody should have a sales permit before they start selling anything. Especially here in the state of Texas, it is law. Another thing that you have to consider is the Texas Food Cottage Law here in Texas. And that's a completely different video, so I won't go into that. But if you're a food vendor, you need to make sure you have the proper licensing, because you never know when you go to these markets if the health department is going to come out, if the actual coordinator is going to check. Because if you are told that you are not licensed or you don't have the proper permits to set up and serve to the public, then you will have to break down your entire booth. And to save yourself a ticket, or a fine, an embarrassment, always make sure you have the proper permits before you book a market. You need to find that out. You can even ask your coordinator whoever is hosting the event. Most of them will probably tell you to check with the city, because they don't want to be responsible for giving you the wrong information. So all vendors need to do their due diligence and go and make the proper calls to make sure they protect themselves. The third thing you need to check on is your bank account. You need to make sure that before you decide to do anything, buy a product, buy a booth space, marketing that you have the money to do so. So what I would do is check my personal finances, check to see what's coming in, whether it's from a job or from my business, add it all up and see what you have left over to be able to do vendor markets and to do your business without the strain and the hassle and all of that of not having the money, because you don't want to go into a vendor market on your last dime and then you get there and you don't make your booth feedback or you don't make enough money to cover everything that it took to be there. You don't want that to happen. You don't want that stress. You want to be able to enjoy being a vendor. You want to be able to enjoy talking to people and not wondering if people are going to buy every time they stop by your booth. You don't want that type of headache. So always check to make sure you could afford vendor markets. As I said earlier, vendor markets can range as low as $20 up to $2,000. So it gets very pricey and you need to take into consideration your time, your travel, parking, and even your product and everything that goes into it. It costs money, so be prepared. Now, you also need to know if this is even necessary for your business. I know plenty of vendors that have actual brick and mortars that do very well. They have a lot of traffic every single day. Sometimes they come to market because they're trying to introduce a new product to the community. Okay, but usually people who do that, they already are established, like I said, with the brick and mortar in that community. So people know who they are. They've already developed relationships. They're just trying to reach on a more personal level. So, but if that is not you, you need to really make sure that it's necessary for your business to even have to do vendor markets. I personally feel that vendor markets are a great way to spread brand awareness, to get to know people, to meet new vendors, and just to have a good time. And it's a great way to launch a product in conjunction with your online presence as well, which we're going to talk all about that in a future video. Your online presence is a must in today's society. You have to have some form of an online presence, whether it's through a website or social media. But yeah, make sure it's necessary for your business. Alright you guys, I hope that you really enjoyed this video. I hope that you got some really good insight of things you could really think about before you actually decide to jump into the vendor world. This world is really, really small on the grand scheme of things, but when you get into it, you'll also see how very big it is and how very important it is to a lot of people. Some of these people out here that are vending, this is what they do on a regular basis. This is their 9 to 5. This is what they do. So I just want to put the information out there of some form of things that you guys should consider before you decide to do anything, before you decide to get into this world. So if you like this type of content, go ahead, like and subscribe. You can always meet me here on Fridays. You can check me out on Facebook under Couture Event, and you can email me at coutureevent@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Bye!